welcome to this week's Wildlife Matters podcast. And today we're celebrating the wonders of wildlife and the beauty of nature through captivating storytelling. So come along with us for a winter wildlife walk in an ancient woodland. We'll share what we saw and talk about how we capture audio and video for our podcast and YouTube episodes. But first, let's look at some of this week's most interesting wildlife and nature news stories in this week's Wildlife Matters Nature News. Hello and welcome to this week's Wildlife Matters Nature News. Today, we share the exciting news that beavers have made a triumphant return to Cornwall after an absence of around 400 years. Yes, beavers are back in Cornwall's rivers thanks to a major reintroduction by Cornwall Wildlife Trust. This week, 2 pairs of the iconic mammals were released into the Parr and Fowey River catchments, and conservationists have called it a huge win for nature. With growing evidence of beavers' important role in healthy ecosystems, efforts to bring beavers back have picked up speed. Beavers are a keystone species. When they build dams, they create wetlands, slow down water, which helps to prevent floods, store water during dry periods, and they boost biodiversity. If all goes to plan, we could see up to 100 beavers released into 7 Cornish rivers this year, said Lauren Jasper, the beaver officer at the Cornwall Wildlife Trust. Lauren continued, larger genetically diverse groups are key to establishing thriving populations. With 1 in 6 native species at risk of extinction, the work beavers do for the environment is more important than ever. Their dams help clean water by filtering out pollutants and sediments, and they support many types of plants, birds, bats, moths, and dragonflies. Recent studies show that beaver wetlands can triple the number of plant species, increase frog spawn by over 6,000%, and greatly boost bat and bird activity. It took more than 10 years of work by Cornwall Wildlife Trust, Natural England and local partners to bring the beavers back. Lauren told Wildlife Matters, "We're celebrating today, but the real work starts now as we monitor the beavers and support landowners as we all learn to live alongside them once again." Despite the excitement, the Trust knows there will be challenges. There will be an adjustment period, said Cheryl Marriott, the Director of Nature and People. But the benefits like cleaner water, flood protection, and more wildlife are too great to ignore. This release is part of a nationwide effort to restore beavers, connect different groups, and prevent species from disappearing. Conservationists hope Cornwall's big step will inspire more action across the UK, so both nature and beavers can thrive once again. If you are interested in beavers, Wildlife Matters spent a night with wild beavers in Devon, and you can listen to our story in our back catalogue. It's called A Night with the Beavers, and it was episode 3 of series 6, released back in June 2025. Our second story today sees us return to temperate rainforests that we visited last month on the west coast of Scotland. This time, though, we're in Wales, looking at a new project in Pembrokeshire that aims to connect fragments of temperate rainforest, a rare and precious habitat that once covered much of Britain's west coast. It's making a dramatic return to Pembrokeshire. Restoring temperate rainforest has officially begun at a wildlife reserve in North Pembrokeshire, bringing hope for the revival of this lost ecosystem. The project is taking place at Trelwyn Fash, a 146-acre reserve managed by the Wildlife Trust of South and West Wales. It's part of a UK-wide rainforest recovery programme led by the Wildlife Trust and supported by Aviva. Temperate rainforests, once full of mossy trees, lichens and mist, now cover less than 1% of the UK landscape. A long-term plan is underway to restore these woodlands. The aim is to reconnect scattered rainforest patches across West Wales, creating a thriving network for future generations. Adam Dawson, Senior Conservation Officer at the Wildlife Trust of South and West Wales, said that the early restoration work might look a little disruptive, but he reassured people that nature's calm will soon return. Adam told Wildlife Matters that during the initial site preparation and planting, the sight of diggers and vehicles may seem messy, but within months, tranquility will be restored. Over the years, a lush, moss-felted forest will quietly reclaim the land as if it had always been here, he said. The first saplings have already been planted, and by the end of spring, up to 50,000 native trees will form the foundation of this new woodland habitat. The goal is to connect existing woodlands in the Guam Valley and create a rich, connected landscape where wildlife can thrive. The Trust also plans community events to encourage local people to help restore the woodland and get involved in this important project. Part of Trell Fash will serve as a living laboratory with Bangor University. Researchers are looking for ways to speed up rainforest regeneration, especially where bracken has taken over. The scientists are also measuring how much carbon these rainforests can store in their soils and canopies. And this information is vital for understanding their role in fighting climate change. Once the new woodland is established, it will help the climate by capturing carbon, managing water flow to reduce flooding and drought, and providing shelter for many wild species, including the ever-elusive pine marten. The final word comes from the Wildlife Trust Senior Conservation Officer for the project, who said, "Now that we've begun, it's thrilling to imagine Trell Fash in 10, 50 or even 100 years, a rainforest brimming with life, offering its wonders to both people and wildlife." For our final story this week, we've teamed up with our friends at woodlands.co.uk to celebrate bluebell season. We're sharing some of our favourite bluebell woodland walks around England, which we hope you will find time to go out and explore and enjoy. When spring arrives in the UK, our woodlands transform. Hillsides and forest floors turn vibrant blue as millions of bluebells bloom. This short-lived display draws nature lovers and families to see one of Britain's favourite seasonal sights. Bluebells are one of the country's most iconic wildflowers and signal that winter is finally ending. Their arrival brings hope and joy to walkers who are ready to leave the cold behind and welcome the warmer days. To celebrate bluebell season, Wildlife Matters and woodlands.co.uk are sharing some of our favourite bluebell woodland walks in England for you to explore and enjoy. Starting with Bentley Wood in Wiltshire, which is one of the largest ancient woodlands in southern England. It's known for its spring bluebell displays and a variety of walking routes through beech and oak trees. Bentley Wood is one of those places that really stops you in your tracks in springtime. The bluebells spread across the woodland floor in huge swathes, and when sunlight filters through the trees, the colour is incredible. It's peaceful, atmospheric, and feels wonderfully timeless. You can find Bentley Wood near Salisbury in Wiltshire. It has plenty of parking with multiple car parks, and there are several routes with walks ranging from 1.5 to around 4 miles, all with good accessibility. If you're in the northeast, then take a look at Gibbside Woods in County Durham, which sits in a sheltered valley. Its woodland paths offer a peaceful bluebell experience with easy, gentle slopes. Bluebells do well here because the woodland is well established. In spring, the paths wind through the banks of blue, with birdsong echoing through the trees. It's a lovely place for a slower walk where you can really appreciate the changing season. You will find Gibbside Wood near Rowlands Gill in County Durham, with well-marked parking areas. It has gently sloping circular woodland routes of around 1 to 3 miles. If you're in the south, have a look at Nyman's Woodlands in West Sussex. It's well worth a visit. The woods around Nyman's are full of spring flowers and sheltered paths, making it a great spot for a gentle walk at this time of the year. Nyman's always feels remarkably special when the bluebells appear. They weave between trees and the old garden boundaries, softening the landscape and giving the whole area a calm, dreamlike quality. It's a wonderful place to wander and explore. Nyman's woodland adjoins the famous garden, and it can be found near Hangcross in West Sussex, with parking available on site. There are a number of marked walks with optional extensions, which are around 2 miles in length. And for those in the southwest, check out Yarner Wood on the edge of the Dartmoor National Park. This old oak woodland on Dartmoor's eastern edge is known for its spring colours, abundant wildlife and winding paths. It's managed by Natural England. It's easy to reach but still feels peaceful and secluded. Yarner Wood is at its best in late spring. The bluebells spread beneath the oak canopy and along the rides, creating soft carpets of colour. With birdsong, fresh green leaves and filtered sunlight, it's a calming and restorative place for a walk. Yarner Wood is near Bovey Tracy in Devon, with parking at the Yarner Wood car park. Circular routes from around 1 mile with options to explore further, including into the surrounding woodlands. Please remember, bluebells are delicate and grow slowly, so they can be easily damaged. Please stay on the marked paths and encourage children to help to protect the bluebells by not wandering off the paths. By walking responsibly, we can help these blue carpets return every year for everyone to enjoy. Bluebell season is short, but it's truly memorable. Whether you want a quiet walk alone, a family outing, or a peaceful moment together under the tall trees, the UK's spring woodlands offer plenty of beauty and a sense of connection. When in the woodlands, follow the Wildlife Matters guide and always walk gently. Notice the details and enjoy the magic. We hope you get to try out some of these magical bluebell walks this spring. And that has been this week's Wildlife Matters Nature News. It's good to be able to share some good news this week. Beavers returning to Cornwall's rivers after being absent for over 400 years. And there's more to celebrate at the Wildlife Trust in South and West Wales begins its long-term project to connect fragments of temperate rainforest and to start bringing back the forests that once covered that area. We hope our guide to England's best bluebell walks inspires you to get outside this spring and enjoy the view. If you visit one of our suggested spots, let us know by sending us a message or on social media or through the show notes. And remember, every local woodland has its own magic. So if you can't get to one of the ones that we've recommended, explore nearby and share your photos with us. As spring returns to the woods, join us for a quiet moment. Imagine us sitting on a fallen oak, listening to a bird song and the soft rustle of leaves in the March breeze. To sit back and relax and enjoy this week's Wildlife Matters Mindful Moments. We hope those peaceful woodland sounds brought a sense of calm and wonder. There's something truly special about the sunshine dancing across the woodland floor in a glade in the springtime. A few weeks ago, while it was still cold, we walked through these same woods. We spotted wildlife and we talked about how we make this podcast. So join me for a crisp, invigorating winter wildlife walk on this week's Wildlife Matters main feature. Hello and welcome to this week's Wildlife Matters main feature. And today, you're joining me for a winter walk in the woods with a clear goal for what we hope to achieve. When I woke up, the winter morning felt fresh and bright. The crisp air carried a faint, fresh scent of early morning. And overnight, a clean layer of snow had covered everything, its pristine surface glistening under the soft morning light. As I stepped outside, the snow creaked underfoot, and the world around me was still, as if wrapped in a soft, white blanket. It made everything look calm and beautiful. It was cold, -3 degrees, when I left the house to pack the van for today's adventure. Knowing it was going to be cold, I dressed in layers, with waterproof boots, trousers, and my warm winter jacket. I felt ready for a long day outdoors. Even with the cold, the drive to one of my favourite woodlands was easy. I visit this place often and I know it well, which helps me to understand my local wildlife. Every wild animal has its own needs, just like we do. Knowing which habitats offer food, water, shelter, and a place to find a mate is key to spotting them out in the wild. And today, my goal was simple: to photograph a robin in the snow for an article I'm writing about winter bird care. Looking forward to this made the day even more exciting. I parked in the small car park and started putting on even more layers. My usual thermal wear and walking trousers were joined by a fleece top and my warmest fleece-lined winter jacket. Sitting on the van's side door floor, I pulled on my waterproof boots over my thermal socks. I noticed my breath turning to mist in the cold air. I put on my hat and gloves and I grabbed my tripod. Today, I had bought what I call my big camera. It's a second-hand Panasonic mirrorless with a couple of decent lenses. I don't think of myself as a photographer, but I do enjoy taking pictures of wildlife. I've been lucky to capture some amazing moments when I have my camera with me. Most of the time, I carry my Insta360. It's an action camera. I recently started a YouTube channel for Wildlife Matters to share some of our wildlife adventures through video as well as through podcasts. But I really enjoy audio. I'm always listening to podcasts and have learned a lot about many topics from them. I also have a lifelong love of music in many different genres. And I listen to music every day, and I go to see live acts perform whenever I can. But that's probably a story for another time. Today, I've also bought my Zoom H5 to record background audio and my Rode Go 2 mics, which connect to the camera and pick up my running commentary. Much of what I say won't end up in the podcast, but I'm pleased I can come up with some good commentary and sometimes find a hidden gem in all my ramblings. I'm heading to a small thicket where the hedgerow ends and the stream runs under the path I'm following. I've seen robins here before, and I think it will look nice covered in snow. When I arrived, I saw a beautiful scene. The winter snow had changed the landscape, and the clear stream made everything feel calm and peaceful. I sat down behind some brambles, facing the old hedgerow along the edge of this ancient woodland. Beyond it is a former arable field that has turned into a wild meadow. And today, all I can see is a blanket of untouched snow. I set up my camera on the tripod and pointed my Insta360 at the hedgerow to get some extra footage for the video. Then I sat quietly and I waited for the robins to show up. I spotted a dunnock instead of a robin. This bird is a classic hedgerow resident. People once called them hedge sparrows, but it isn't actually related to sparrows at all. Dunnocks are part of a small family of birds known as accenters. Dunnocks are also known as passerines or perching birds. They prefer the safety of hedgerows where thorns and brambles keep out predators such as foxes, cats, hawks, squirrels, and rats that struggle to get inside. I watched, fascinated, as the dunnock moved through the hedgerow. Sometimes it hopped into the branches of trees that had grown taller than the rest, standing like sentinels along the line of the hedge. Dunnocks are small, fascinating birds that are always on the move, and on this cold morning, as it searched for food, it didn't seem to notice me sitting about 10 meters away behind the brambles. I was surprised by the range of colours on a bird that I had always thought of as an LBJ, a little brown job. Like so much in nature, if you look closely, you will find many layers of detail. The almost pink legs stood out against the snow and the dark winter background. That's what caught my attention first. Then I noticed the rich caramel and darker shades on its wings and head, with speckles across its otherwise grey chest and belly. Its beak's yellow at the base and dark at the tip, and its eyes, which look black at first, are actually a rich chestnut brown. My time watching the dunnock ended when a song thrush landed in the tree above. Even though the dunnock wasn't in any danger, I saw it slip deeper into the hedgerow and disappear. The song thrush perched in the rowan tree above, focused on the plump red berries that would be its breakfast. As the thrush picked berries from the tree, snow fell from the top of the cluster. The song thrush is another native bird that often goes unnoticed. Winter always brings excitement for wildlife watchers, hoping to spot redwings and fieldfares, both beautiful types of thrush. But we also have native birds like the humble blackbird and the striking missel thrush, in addition to the beautiful song thrush that I'm watching feed right now. The speckles on its chest show a lovely mix of browns from light to deep caramel, standing out against the creamy yellow feathers underneath. The upper wings are light brown with bars that look like shades of caramel and dark chocolate. Its pink mouth stands out against the yellow beak and dark eyes. After a couple of hours watching other wildlife, I decided it was time to focus on what I had come for, a winter photo of a robin. I walked further down the hedgerow, heading towards the old watermill pond along the track. My boots crunched through the deep, untouched snow, making that familiar crackling sound that I remember so well from childhood. As I walked, memories came rolling back in the snow, making snow angels, the wooden sledge my dad built, and frost on the inside of my bedroom window. I hadn't thought of these things in so long, and it felt good. It was nice to reminisce for a moment before returning to the present and searching for the robin. I set down my stool and put the camera on the tripod. Right there in the hedgerow was a robin. I knew that they wouldn't let me down. Robins are curious birds, and this one seemed just as interested in me as I was in it. Its breast was a brilliant orange-red, contrasting with its greyish-brown back and wings. I call it she, but it could have been a male, since adult robins are almost impossible to tell apart. It hopped energetically along the ground, its head tilting side to side as it scanned for food and observed its surroundings. Occasionally it paused and let out a soft, melodious chirp, adding sound to the vibrant scene. The robin moved along the top of the hedgerow and sometimes dropped down into its safe hiding spots. As I watched, I saw it heading towards the hawthorn tree full of deep red haws, the berries of the hawthorn, which would make a nutritious meal for a robin. The hawthorn tree is easily recognisable by its gnarled bark and dense clusters of bright red berries. Its leaves are serrated and lobed, resembling a miniature maple leaf. By noticing these characteristics, you can spot a hawthorn tree and enhance your outdoor wildlife experience. Hawberries are an important winter food for many bird species and indeed other animals. Hawthorn trees are good for wildlife all year round. In winter, redwings and fieldfares look for the rich red berries. And in spring, bees visit the white blossoms for pollen, whilst in autumn, dormice and other rodents eat the berries to gain weight before hibernation. Hawthorn trees also support caterpillars and many other insects. One big advantage is their long, sharp thorns. Small birds and mammals can avoid them easily, but they make it hard for predators like sparrowhawks and people to catch anything on the tree. And hawberries are good for people too. For centuries, they've been used to make jellies, tinctures, and teas. They taste sweet and tangy and are rich in polyphenols, natural antioxidants. These may help lower cholesterol and blood pressure, reduce inflammation, and aid digestion. Hawthorn berries are used by some people to help with anxiety or to create creams believed to have anti-aging effects. Hawthorn is also found in some medications that doctors might use if someone's heart has stopped. Now, I'm not a medical expert, so I'm just sharing this as something interesting that I've learned. All these uses come from a small tree that grows in many hedgerows, parks, and old woodlands, and remains largely unnoticed by the majority of people. Back to the robin, which had made its way to the hawberries and was trying to pull one off. The berries are pretty big for such a small bird, so it had to work hard to get one free. I've noticed that robins are persistent and determined, especially when it comes to chasing off other robins. They aren't very sociable, and they barely put up with a mate during the breeding season before going their separate ways as soon as possible. They're also very territorial and will guard their food, sometimes standing watch over it all day. And this robin was clearly outside its usual area and seemed very alert as it climbed up the hedgerow to wrestle the hawberries from the tree. Perhaps the robin ventured beyond its territory due to the scarcity of food or the changes in the weather. And this behavior can provide insights into how wildlife adapts to their environment. It's driven by necessity when conditions change in their usual area. After it managed to pull a berry free, the robin dropped down into the hedgerow to eat it where it felt safe. This wasn't great for me since I couldn't get a picture of the robin as it was so well hidden. But I waited, hoping that it would come back for another berry. There wasn't much else I could do. For anyone attempting to photograph shy birds like these, patience is crucial. It's helpful to stay still and wait them out, as they often return to the same spot. Also, using a fast shutter speed can help capture clear images of these quick movements. A quiet setting and keeping a respectful distance can also prevent startling them. If you've ever gardened, you'll know a robin will watch you and swoop in to grab bugs and worms from the soil you've just turned over. They'll often sit close by and sometimes even pose for a picture on your spade handle. Luckily, this robin came back to the top of the hedgerow and started pulling at the hawberries again. And this time I managed to get some good pictures that showed just how much effort it takes for a robin to get one of these tasty treats. My favourite picture is of the robin taking a short break, with snow on the tip of its beak and water droplets on its bright red breast. The colours stand out beautifully against the snowy, dark hawthorns. As I stood there, the chill of the cold air nipped at my cheeks, and the faint rustling of leaves filled the quiet background. The cold scents of winter mixed with a hint of earthiness of the surrounding trees. In this serene moment, I could almost hear the faint, rhythmic sound of the robin's tiny heart beating as it rested. When the article was commissioned, they chose a different picture. It was their decision, but I thought the original photo showed something important that the new one missed. The first picture had a calm beauty and harmony with nature that fit the theme that I wanted to share. The image that they used, whilst technically better, didn't have the same emotional depth or connection to the natural world that I was hoping for. I was pleased to get the pictures that I wanted, but as usual, nature had some surprises in store, and my day was not over yet. As I walked along the hedgerow, I noticed a spot where the hedgerow had thinned, probably because a tree had died, leaving a gap. This gap was like a window, showing the meadow beyond and making it feel like a private moment between the land and me. Sunlight came through the leaves in soft, patchy light, and I stopped to take in the view, eager to capture it, so I quickly set up the camera. Fortunately, I was hidden behind the hedgerow, so my awkward setup with tripods and cameras and stalls didn't disturb anything. To blend in, I usually wear neutral colours that match the surroundings, and I try not to make sudden movements. Setting up quietly is important, so I use a tripod with rubber feet to keep things quiet and place my gear on a soft cloth to avoid noise. This helps me stay hidden and might inspire readers to try their own quiet wildlife watching. At the edge of the field, in a small group of trees, two roe deer searched the bare branches for leaf buds. Once I'd settled in, I noticed a male pheasant perched in one of the trees while the deer wandered below. True to form, the pheasant stayed put, turning his back to the deer as if to say, "I am not moving." Watching this, I felt a strange sense of wonder at the quiet drama unfolding before me. It was a gentle reminder of nature's own intricate dynamics, as if time had slowed down just for this moment. And as I sat quietly, absorbed by the scene before me, I could hear the faint rustle of leaves as the deer moved around gently through the brush, the soft whisper of the wind weaving through the trees, and the distant call of a bird echoing in the serene landscape. The sunlight filtered through the canopylous trees, casting playful shadows on the ground, while the gentle rustling of leaves and the soft chirping of birds created a symphony of nature that enveloped me in a sense of peace. I was struck deeply by how beautiful coexistence can be, as each creature shared its tranquil space perfectly at ease in their natural roles. The roe deer ignored the pheasant's efforts to hold his ground and just kept on browsing nearby. And this continued for some time. The deer ate whatever leaves they could find, while the pheasant stayed stubbornly on his perch. One of the roe deer looks at me, while the other browses along the tree line. Meanwhile, the pheasant ignores both the deer and me, gazing towards the eastern edge of the copse. I've also included a picture of the two does, who might have been mother and daughter as they left. They paused and looked back at me. Even though I was about 800 metres away and hidden behind a tall hedgerow, they still sensed I was there. Deer have a keen sense of smell and can detect a human scent from a great distance. Their large, sensitive ears can also pick up the slightest of sounds, helping them sense potential threats, even when they can't see them. After spending some special moments with the roe deer and pheasant, I headed to the mill pond. The low winter sun often creates beautiful reflections on the water, and with snow around the edges, it promised to be a magical winter scene. I got to the mill pond in the afternoon, while the sun was setting, signalling an end to the day. The pond was still partly frozen, and snow covered both the ground and the ice. It was a winter scene I'd hoped for, and I set up my camera and took some pictures in the late afternoon light. While I was taking pictures of the lake, I suddenly caught a quick flash of blue and orange. I knew immediately what it was. I picked up my binoculars and I scanned the banks of the mill pond until I found him. He was perched on a nearby tree with bare branches covered in snow. It wasn't much of a hiding place for a bright blue and orange kingfisher. He stayed there, not moving. The sunlight hit his bright orange breast, making his blue feathers shine even more, and his head feathers were so bright, and the electric blue spots on his wings really popped. His dark eyes were still, just like the deep waters of the mill pond, and a tiny water droplet sat on the tip of his long, dark beak. His feathers weren't ruffled, which they would have been if he were cold and trying to keep warm. And I guessed he hadn't been in the water for a while, so he might be looking to feed just before sunset. I sat very still and quietly, only moving my fingers now and then to press the camera button or to keep the cold from getting through my fingerless gloves. As the seconds ticked by, a mix of anticipation and serenity washed over me. I felt a strange connection with the kingfisher, both of us immersed in this shared moment by the pond, silently observing the world around us. My heart beat steadily, in tune with the quiet rhythms of nature. We waited together for what felt like forever. He didn't preen his feathers. It seemed like he was in a trance, staring at the still, quiet waters of the still half-frozen mill pond. The cold stung my fingers and they began to burn. You've probably felt it before, although it's quite tough to describe. A few minutes later, the kingfisher shuffled his feet on the branch, keeping the rest of his body still. He turned his head a little, as if he had spotted something. Suddenly, he shot into the air, his wings a blur of blue and orange against the evening sky. He hovered above the water for a moment, watching his target closely. Then he dived gracefully into the cold water and came up with a small fish in his beak. He flew back to his perch, the fish shining in the fading daylight. I watched in awe as he enjoyed his catch, bringing the natural show I had just witnessed to a close. It was a moment of pure connection to the natural world, one that filled me with a rare sense of peace and wonder. This encounter reminded me of the simplicity and beauty of life, a comforting thought that resonated deeply on that chilly evening. My frozen fingers ached as I reached for the camera button and slowly set it to take several pictures at once. We sat completely still and silent again. In the distance, I noticed a dog walker and a beautiful collie on the far bank of the mill pond. For those looking to spot a kingfisher, it's best to arrive early in the morning or late in the afternoon when they are most active. Scan the tree branches overhanging the water, as kingfishers often perch quietly before diving. Be patient and quiet, as these birds can be a bit shy around people. Bringing binoculars can also help, as they allow you to observe from a distance without disturbing the wildlife. Looking through my camera, I saw the kingfisher move his head, then launch from the branch like an arrow, heading straight for a gap in the frozen pond. My chilled and frozen fingers reacted as quickly as possible, hitting the camera button. The camera motor whirred as it captured multiple images of the kingfisher dive. Then it returned to its branch. The kingfisher paused for a few more minutes and then flew to another part of the pond where the ice had melted and open water showed. In winter, kingfishers look for open water because it makes it easier for them to catch fish. Even in the cold, you can often spot these agile birds near unfrozen streams or small patches of water diving for their prey. I packed up slowly, my fingers now numb, even with my gloves on, and began the 20-minute walk back to the van. The cold had settled deep in my bones, but I didn't mind. Days like this, when nature shows you something special, make every frozen moment worth it. As I walked through the snow on the woodland path, I thought about the homemade soup waiting in my flask. Simple pleasures like hot soup after hours in the cold, remembering the kingfisher's electric blue against the snow, and the quiet satisfaction of being right where I wanted to be. 8 hours in -3 degrees, most people would call that crazy. But when you see a kingfisher stunning its prey on a snowy branch, moments most people will never witness, you understand why some of us spend our winter days like this. This is what Wildlife Matters is all about. Getting outside, braving the cold, the wet, the early mornings, and discovering more about the wild ones that live all around us. Wildlife doesn't pause for winter. It simply adapts to the raw, beautiful and utterly unforgiving cold and struggles to find food and a safe, warm place to shelter. Their needs are really no different from our own. I hope you've enjoyed our winter wildlife walk, which has been this week's Wildlife Matters main feature. For the first time, we're sharing how an episode of the Wildlife Matters podcast comes together, from spontaneous ideas to capturing the perfect moment on a woodlands walk. As a solo creator, I'm used to narrating my walks and describing everything I see. When my partner joins me, she sometimes reminds me that silence can be just as important. Still, she's very supportive and enjoys exploring the beautiful places that we get to go to and visit for this podcast. 2026 has started with a bang. New listeners are joining us every day, and for the first time, all 80 plus episodes were downloaded last month. We love seeing so many of you exploring our back catalogue of older episodes. And if you haven't yet, we hope you'll check out the archives and find something that you enjoyed. Wildlife Matters will return in 2 weeks for the Series 7 finale. It's a spring equinox special with 2 great stories we will be telling live around a campfire in the heart of the dark woods. Make sure you save your seat on the straw bale by liking and subscribing wherever you get your podcasts. And if you can, do leave us a comment. It really helps. Thank you. As always, thank you for spending time with us today. We appreciate each and every one of you. Until next time, stay curious, wild ones. This is Wildlife Matters, signing